Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Redington and HPE session. We have Sabir Tahir, our pre-sales consultant in Redington Value, who will be running throughout the session. We hope we will provide you all the information required, and you can go to the Q&A button on the left. At the end of the session, we will answer all your questions. Please note also after answering a short quiz, there will be a winner. Uh, Sabir, over to you.
Thank you, Raida, and thank you, gentlemen, to attending for this session. And so I hope that everyone is in good health. Okay, so let's start. The session for today is for Nimble Storage Deep Dive, where we'll be covering the product itself, and much more will going down in design and the deployment. Okay. So let's start. First. Okay. See, first of all, that if you look into this screen, the VM admins, they are struggling to keep us with the demands of the digital business. They are constantly dealing with the complexity of the infrastructure that shows down to market, fighting fires that up their time and supporting new app demands with more cost and pressure. Okay, this is what the commonly the people they are facing, the VM admins. Okay, to overcome this challenge, okay, this HCI hyperconverged experience make life easy for predictable workload. So HCI brings an experience that radically simplifies a life for the VM admin when it's come to workload with predictable growth. So a software defined and scale out file system. A physical infrastructure is abstracted. In addition, everything is VM centric. Policies are automated, and you have a single pool of resources that you can manage directly out of vCenter. Scaling is predictable. You simply add a node to a cluster and grow performance and capacity together. This architecture maximize enterprise agility for workload with predictable growth. But what about unpredictable workload? Okay. So when it's come to unpredictable workload, where future growth and new application may require more compute or more storage. Converged platform give enterprise the ability to independently scale as needed. This make it an ideal architecture for workload consolidation on the same platform. As you add more workload, you either add more compute or add more storage, giving you a high level of resources efficiency at scale. So when you have seen that all the hyperconverged solution, whenever you scale, the approach is scale out. So it's mean in the cluster, all uh, the resources of the nodes should be identical. I mean, all the nodes should be identical. Then the same memory, same as CPU, and the same storage capacity. Okay, but for some application, then sometimes they need more computer, more storage. Okay, this is how it's considered as unpredictable workload. So this task, but converged architecture are still highly complex. Despite incremental innovation over the years, vendors have tried to mask the complexity with GPU wrapper, but converged still required dedicated admin, silent management, manuals to memorize and constant tuning until no. This architecture meant you had to sacrifice agility for the flexibility. So, what if you could have a hyperconverged experience for unpredictable workload? This gave us an idea what a platform that integrated hyperconverged control with a disaggregated scale. And that is as answer, we call this one from HPE a Nimble Storage DHCI. It's not a storage, it's much more than storage. It is the flavor of hyperconverged. But this is for unpredictable workload. So the new platform, okay, this is called Nimble Storage DHCI, an intelligent platform with the flexibility of converged infrastructure and the simplicity of HCI. It disaggregates compute and storage and deliver it with an HCI experience. This new platform integrates hyper-converged control with the world's best-selling server is HP ProLiant and self-managing flash storage of HP Nimble Storage. The Nimble Storage DHCI provides enterprise with uniquely effortless management with the flexibility to support unpredictable workload and the performance, resilience, and efficiency needed for the business critical apps. It is intelligently simple with native full stack intelligence from storage to VM and policy based automation for virtualized environment. It's ready for business critical apps with absolute resilience with over 6.9 of measured data availability and sub ms of low latency at consistent high performance. HP Nimble Storage DHCI is built for efficient scale with the ability to independently scale compute and storage non-disruptively with industry-leading data efficiency guaranteed. So, hyperconverged control with infrastructure. Yeah. So, when it's come to active management, Nimble DHCI is as simple as HCI as we have extended hyperconverged control to this integrated system. HP have taken great care to make it simple to deploy, manage, scale, and support. This is simple to set up through DHCI setup software and vCenter plugin. DHCI automates server and storage deployment configuration, provisioning, and cluster setup for the VM admin, eliminating hundreds of manual steps versus converged system. A customer can self-install the entire system at scale from rack to apps to be ready to add data in 15 to 20 minutes with less than 5 clicks and requiring no external tools or software. It is simple to manage. In the vCenter console, you have VM-centric data services and sources management that does not require that doesn't require any separate appliance or element managers. It is simple to scale. New storage ever get added to the cluster for scale out non-destructively and transparently to application. It is simple to support with HP InfoSight. Customer have full stack predictive analytics and support automation working for you that predict and prevent issues. It auto routes any complex issue directly to L3 Nimble storage support as a single short job. So it's direct access to L3 actually. So as a Nimble enhancement, as a DHCI, it was the first release in 2019. It's DHCI 1.0, where it was supported with the initially DR360 or 380 and maximum
Sabir,
of yes.
sorry to interrupt
Hello.
you. Can you check your mic, please? The sound quality is not good as per the attendees' feedback.
Is it okay, Ro?
Yeah, please make
Hello.
sure.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's clear now, Sagar.
Okay. So so this is the initial release of DICI, which is in summer 2019. Initially, it covered DL360, DL380, and maximum of 20 hosts. Okay, with wizard-driven setup, integrated management, InfoSight stack, AL and ML. So as a second release, then it is DICI 2.0. Gentlemen, I want to keep you focus on this slide because I think there will be one question from this one. DHCI 2.0, it's included the additional server AMD base 325 and 385 and Intel DL580 32 host maximum, and it is as addition it is single one-click upgrade. Okay, then there's 3.0. It's announced to come very soon in the near future. Okay. So as a Nimbus DICI enhancement, as a single upgrade, a single click upgrade, customer will be able to perform one-click software upgrade across multiple ESXi hosts, Nimble OS, Nimble OS connection manager for the entire cluster with no downtime required. Additionally, this eliminates the need to download individual software updates, and the updates can be performed directly through VMware vCenter. HPI, HPE Nimble Storage DHCI has become the industry first disaggregated platform to enable this level of lifecycle management and automation. Okay. So then the platform is very strong because of the global intelligence of the Nimble storage. What is the global intelligence? This is the platform which have built up with the 10-year. It's came up finally, and at the head of Nimble, DICI is global intelligence of HP InfoSight. So which have over 1,250 trillion data points analyzed across over installed base, over 1.5 million hours saved from host productivity, and HP InfoSight is the most advanced for AI for infrastructure. Every second, HP collect and analyze millions of sensors from every system in the install base across Nimble DHCI to the VM, late that drives for predictive analytics and recommendation, full stack from storage to VM. So everything from predicting, preventing issues to self improving performance to self optimizing resources, repurpose these VM to free up resources. It is what uniquely enables this platform to run itself. So the customer, the many of the customer, they are saving almost 86% problem. They are saving 86% problem automatically. Okay, before it's appear to the user to solve this one. So which at the end it's which at the end it's bring up the uptime and decrease the downtime, which add a lot of values for the end customer. So as an info side, everyone knows that VM sprawl makes it challenging to stay in control. It's it's necessary even as sprawl means your business is growing, but managing performance is reactive, labor intensive, effort that is always filled with difficulty when identifying the sources and root cause of the bottleneck. It's required pulling logs manually or letting a dozen screens across storage network cards just to find out what's going on in your environment. So with Nimble DHCI Enterprise can say goodbye to firefighting and long nights and weekends. Okay. Instead of searching for the needles in the haystack, it's automatically collect data across stack in your environment with full stack correlation that gives customers single source of truth, enabling customer to find the root cause of latency across host, storage, or SAN, and identify noisy neighbors, determining if they are using resources intended for other VMs. Get visibility into the host CPU and memory matrix, check for the plugged memory leaks, get visibility into inactive VMs to repurpose and reclaim underutilization host, and find top performing VM top 10 by IOPS and latency. So receive recommendation that optimize performance available resources. So data centric visibility for every VM, you can say. So everyone knows that VMware make it challenging to stay in control. It's necessary. Hello,
Yes, Sagar.
hello.
Yes, Sagar.
Just my voice is clear.
Yeah, it's clear, audible.
Thank you. Okay. So data centric visibility for every VM. This is the data store, this heat map as shown in the pink boxes in a single click and a single view. Every customer can see what's going on across their entire VM team. One view show every VM and relative IOPS and latency, which then lets customer quickly see if there's any VMs that need to be addressed. The customer can then drill into specific VMs
Sabir?
to yes.
Yeah, sometimes your sound are not clear. Please make sure that you the microphone, please. I don't know. Adil, are you facing same issue here? Sometimes his sound is not
Yeah,
clear.
sometimes it's getting not audible in between.
So shall I go more far? Hello.
Yes, Sagar. It's clear now, but while after some time it's getting very low.
Might be some issue with the mic, maybe. One second. So the customer can drill into specific VM and understand the root cause with recommendation to elevate The bottleneck, the automated recommendation or context aware, which means it's understand all of the application and sensitivity and can prioritize recommendation based on level of invasiveness, rebalance over buy new hardware. So, for example, in this screen, this helps a customer, a leading O&G manufacturer, save around $1.2 million from not having to buy new hardware as it is identified zero VDI instance that drove up resources utilization issue. So, it's helping a lot to the end customer. There's a lot of problem from the VMware in the stack itself. So if those problems can be identified properly, either from the VMware, from the SAN, from the host, okay, then the problem will be fixed. And this is the beauty of the Nimble with the InfoSight and DHCI, that it can identify and fix the problem and apply these the same fix what they have for some customer to other customer as well in advance before they face the problems. So when it's come to the Nimble Sport actually, so it's predictive analytic automatic level 1 and 2 issues. One call support with full stack expertise. Okay, so it's direct call with L3. Never worry about whom to call. Say so it is while it's directly called to L3, that this user satisfaction score is 4.91 out of 5 in sport satisfaction. The average hold time is less than 1 minute. Okay, so it's ready for demanding application. This is always on availability, a guaranteed 6.9 storage availability. So as sub millisecond latency, as low as 200 microsecond data response time when Nimble storage all flash, fault tolerance and data protection built in, backup more frequently and recover faster with application consistent, a snapshot and advanced replication. Encrypted encryption built in, application level encryption and secure data shredding. Okay, so it's independently scale, performance, and capacity. This is what we was talking in the previous slides. Because this architecture disaggregates compute and storage, it drives up higher efficiency at the cluster scale, on-prem and out to the public cloud. You can independently scale servers and storage flexibility to support application that either need performance with more capacity, like in transactional database with increased load, or in data warehouse. You can need a more capacity, but you are okay with compute. The beauty being that InfoSight tells you when and how many resources you need or how you can repurpose resources. So you are always optimized with any guesswork on your part in both simple and flexible way. In turn, the architecture means that there is no over provisioning, no wasted resources. You add only what you need, and upgrades are transparent and non-disruptive to your app. So when you compare this one with the hyperconverge for the predictable workload as HCI, so it's mean you need, if you want to scale for the compute, you must add the storage also. But if you need a storage capacity, you must also add the compute. Okay? But with the Nimble dHCI, it can be scaled for the storage or for the compute. Okay, so that limitation is not here, which will add lot of value for the customer. So it's easy workload mobility across hybrid cloud with HP cloud volumes. Okay. So what if the customer, they want to have some cloud volumes, okay, either it's from AWS or from Azure, and or either might be its backup data or the DR data, okay, or it might be container apps, okay. So whatever, vice versa, the data is bidirectionally it's movable, so from cloud to the local storage, from local storage to the cloud. And just think of that, a customer is going to run out of capacity, okay. And in the current situation, uh, ordering a new hardware and then getting a delivery, it's becoming very difficult because there's a delay in the delivery. And in that scenario, it's just a customer, if he have the Nimble storage, he can buy a subscription for the cloud volumes, okay, and the cold data, he can offload to the cloud. So it's mean the remaining storage, he will have a sufficient storage space to run his production workload. So this is the beauty of the Nimble storage. So industry leading data efficiency with the Nimble storage. So Nimble dHCI is built with industry leading data efficiency of Nimble storage. Nimble is highly efficient platform built from ground up for the flash media, allowing our customer an OS that is 20% sorry 20% more efficient than our competition before data reduction. Adding to that, the advanced data reduction technology drive on average 5 to 1 on or more data reduction depending on the workload. Sorry. Uh, so we know how difficult it is for customer to disconcern the difference in vendor claims. Okay, HP have backed out data reduction with HP store more guaranteed. So so customer will store more data per rod TB than our competitor, and HP gave you a global data reduction ratio with every scale. So whenever we did the sizing of the Nimble storage, we don't go with the raw capacity apple to apple. We ask customer what is the storage requirement, and we went with effective usable capacity after considering the dedupe and compression, which is very powerful with the Nimble storage system. Okay. So we have seen that if customer need around 30 terabyte of storage, okay, it's okay to provide around 21 terabyte, okay, and when they will store the data, they will achieve the storage capacity equivalent to the 30 terabyte. So as a product wise, it's very powerful. Okay, it have these three more this mainly three categorized. Okay, we call this as a product hybrid storage, okay, that is adaptive flash array, which is best in price and performance for performance, because we will add the caching disk as SSD, while as a capacity disk or the SATA disk, okay, the nearline. But as a performance, the generating the number of IOPS, it will be equivalent same as the it will not be same as, it will be close to the all flash, which are sufficient for more of the for most of the customer in SMB to enterprise. Okay. But whenever came to data analytics, the SAP HANA or other intensive mission critical application, we recommend customer to go for all flash model, okay, which is screaming fast for the tier 1 application, okay, and much more it's memory driven all flash at the speed of memory. So it is actually a storage class memory. So this is the product. Okay. So what are the other beauties of the Nimble dHCI? It's drive more value out of existing server and switches investment. So we said simply turn your PROLIANT DLs into a private cloud. So the idea here is that if we are going for normal HCI, so we are going to buy compute and storage together. But if customer is just asking to buy only storage, so instead of giving him a normal storage, we recommend to go with this Nimble storage as a DHCI platform. So even though a customer he don't want to use that one as a hyperconverge, but he have the capability, he have the feature whenever customer he required, they can go for as a hyperconverge. Okay. So when they are buying the storage, okay, they are not buying compute. So it means they have the existing compute, the existing server, the HP ProLiant DL 380 or 360, Gen 9 or Gen 10, all of them supported with the Nimble dHCI. That means just if the customer he have the VMware or ESXi, just it's need to enhance the image of the VMware, okay, and to add the Nimble connection manager, and finally those servers and the new storage will turn into a DHCI kit. And why not to take the the advantage and value from InfoSight? So let's take the advantage value when to troubleshoot the virtual machine, the platform itself. Okay, so administrator, the VM admins, okay, they can reduce their pressure for the managing, and they can spend their time for the new apps, for the new projects. Okay, so as architecture, okay, so these are the, you can say, as a node itself, which can be a new server, which can be old server. Okay, it's just need a VMware vSphere 6.7 HP image, which is customized image. Of course, it's already for the server. In addition to this, it's need NCM, Nimble Connection Manager. Then it's required a switches. Okay, these switches, it's HP Flex Fabric. It can be Aruba switches 8400 series. It can be Cisco Nexus series switches. Okay, so either customer he have the new switches or the existing switches. Those switches are required, which are compatible with NCM. And then of course the Nimble storage with DHCI image. So as a management plan, there will be VMware vCentral 6.7, okay, which is going to be DHCI stack setup. Okay, as a VESA provider and ILO amplifier. Okay, so from the switch, the management switch, it's going to be ILO, heartbeat, ESX swaps to the Nimble storage, which will be rediscovered with the VMware vCentral server. And the backend, it's going to be HPE InfoSight. This is the global AI platform. So Nimble DHCI. Okay, the question if the customer will go for the Nimble DHCI, can he use the storage for non DHCI nodes? I mean for other servers, yes, they can. Okay, but what is the rule? Okay, first they have to install DHC cluster with ISCSI. Okay, and then live add fiber channel card to the Nimble storage. Okay, and then provision storage to non-DHCI host using a fiber channel volume. So it can be Dell server, any other vendor, it can be Hyper-V, test and dev, Oracle rack cluster. Okay, so volume presented outside of the DHCI will be managed via the Nimble array UI like just like a classic Nimble array. So see here, the provisioning of resources for HCI, if we talk about normal, I mean simplicity, VxRail, vCenter, VxRail or Nutanix, whatever the hyperconverged. Okay, so it's mean when you start provisioning, it will provision the storage, okay, the computer network altogether. Okay, so it's mean same thing with the software, with the centralized software DHCI management plane. You can manage the compute node, the switches, the storage. But when it will come to the non-DHCI host, it's mean provisioning of the storage space. We have to do it normally from the GUI as this classic Nimble storage array or as a normal procedure, normal process. So as Nimble DHCI, it's multiple vSphere HA DR cluster support. Okay. So DIC support a single vSphere HA DRS cluster. Additional vSphere cluster permitted. This is outside of the DHCI management plane. It can be generate server. Generate, by the way, generate server, existing generate server are not supported by the Nimble DHCI. The minimum server required is Gen 9 and above. Okay. So there's another vSphere cluster for the DL 360 Gen 10 host VDI. Okay, and this is again it's a separate provisioning of the sources. So move forward as a deployment section that how to do the cabling for the DHCI correctly. Okay, so this is the Nimble array port identification. Let's assume 2 into 10 GB bit example. Okay, so you can see this is the management port. This is backside of the Nimble. It's controller A and controller B. It's storage. You can say it's HF mean hybrid flash or AF mean all flash. So this is controller B. This management interface, management redundant management. This is ISCSI and this is ISCSI 2. So let's assume that this is Nimble storage with 4 ports, 10 gigabit example. The management one, redundant management, and 2 port for ISCSI and second 2 port for ISCSI. So considering as a PROLIANT server as a greenfield, you can have the PROLIANT DL360. And please keep your focus. There will be some question related to this one. I mean the similar ideas actually. So this is ILO, which is for the management, and then 2 into 10 gig ports, which required for the VM network management plus vMotion, and then 2 into 10 GB required for ISCSI. So it's mean it's required 4 into 10 GB Ethernet ports in the servers. In the server, either it's new server or the existing server, to add that node to the Nimble DHCI. So first two port discovered with an ESXi, we name VM NIC are used for the management. Okay. So these four ports, 10 gig, either it can be SFP or it can be 10 base T. So this is the 360 Gen 10 port identification. Okay, this is the ILO ports, management port, management 2 ports, this ISCSI, and this is ISCSI. So here, if you see, there's only 1 gig ports, so it's mean 1 gig ports can be used for the ESXi as additional to provision as DMZ as a virtual switch or for some other purposes. The same thing for DL380. These are the 10 gig ports. I load this management 2, and then ISCSI and ISCSI. So if there's multiple cards of the 10 gig in that server, okay. So what is the cabling methodology? This means this Nimble storage, controller A, controller B is going to connect to the switch A, and second Ethernet it's going to be switch B. So it's, you can say the even port will be connected with the even switch and odd port will be connected with the odd switch. And then this switches, then this is the server, management, redundant, ISCSI to the redundant switches. So supported switch topology for this Nimble dHCI, it's, you can say it's two top of the rack switches. So switches are interconnected, east-west traffic. It has nothing to do with ISCSI recommended deployment. It's easy to deploy HP point accesses based on this deployment. So if partner they have the capability, so they can do it by using their own this PS team to make the deployment. So it's not mandatory that it's point X, but yes, if you are going for the point X, it will be better that you will get the project delivery successfully. So this additional, you can say two top of the rack switches plus one dedicated management switch. Okay, in that scenario, the management link will go to that management switch, and for ISCSI traffic, either from server and from storage, it will go to the top of the rack switches. But in this, you have to make sure that the management VLANs span across all switches. So what if you have 4 top of the rack switches, 2 management and VM network plus 2 for ISCSI? Mean the ILO will be going to the management switches. ILO plus Nimble management plus ESXi management plus VM network. Okay, this all will go to a management switches. Okay, and the second two top of the rack switches will be used for ISCSI for the storage. The switches are interconnected, no requirement for that. So you can say that that in this scenario, this is the much more recommended because the for the storage itself, if this isolated network for ISCSI, it is always better. It will be low latency. If it will be low latency, so there will be more performance for the application. So going forward, that see Nimble storage we discuss all about as single site. So I'll say that it's support even for the second side as pair persistence. Okay, so as a pair persistent, it's required 2 into nimble storage DHCI array required. So you can say that customer he have two sites. Okay, and arrays have to be same models. Okay, either it can be AF40, F40, HF20, HF20. So whatever, it should be a same model. And array have to be running the same Nimble OS version on the both side. So 20 server maximum total for DHCI stack. So these 20 are not per side. Actually, it's maximum of 20 for both sides. So either you can have 10 plus 10, 15 plus 5, so vice versa. Then it's required to have one vSphere cluster spread across two sides, and it's need to have one vCenter server is required. So two vSphere cluster and one vCenter server. Three VLANs are still required. A management VLAN must be available between two sites, and then the ISCSI VLAN must be available between two sites. So ISCSI for the storage communication, for storage traffic, and for the management VLAN, it's just to be communicate on the management interface for the storage. So what's required exactly for this one? It's 10 GB per second required. The speed should be 10 GB per second, because for the storage, for the especially for iSCSI, you need to have the sufficient bandwidth. Okay, in order that all the VMs can read the storage and to read the data. And then as a latency wise, it's 5 ms latency round trip maximum. So this is the maximum latency. The port speed is 10 GB, and as a distance wise, it's a maximum of 100 kilometer. So this is the majority of guidelines are exactly the same as standard Nimble and VMware pair persistent setup. So as Nimble storage DHCI pair persistent, this is some configuration example that this is site A and this is site B, and you can see that this site A, it's two switches, okay, top of the rack switches. So switch 1 and switch 2, and it's aggregated both switches. It's MLAG A. Then same thing on site B, switch 1 and switch 2, and it's MLAG B. And then this port channel on top and the port channel on the switches 2 and 4. So here, so MLAG A created between switch 1 and switch 2 for ISCSI 1 VLAN created on MLAG A, and MLAG B created between switch 3 and switch 4, and ISCSI 2 VLAN created on MLAG B. So MLAG port channel configured between site trunk management and VM network and VLAN. So management VLAN is available across two sites. Okay, and ISCSI VLANs are also available across two sites. So we discussed in the previous screen that both ISCSI VLAN must be available between two sites. Management must be available between two sites, and there should be a minimum 10 GB per second speed required. 5 ms latency round trip maximum and 100 kilometer maximum distance. And then down the stack you can see this is the nodes for the compute node and the storage. And you can see from here that if we want to grow compute, so we can add more nodes here, and which at the end it's going to connect back to back to the switches. Okay, but if the customer is going to have the shortage in the storage, okay, so just we can scale out the storage. We can add more storage capacity, but compute will remain same. So this is how we mentioned from the starting, okay, the right fit product platform for unpredictable workload, where customer he don't know that he need to grow with the storage, he need to grow with the compute. So most common questions related to this one, okay. So can a customer convert a non-HP Nimble storage DHCI array to HP Nimble storage DHCI? So no, HP Nimble storage DHCI is an end-to-end software integrated solution with specific installation, monitoring, and management workflow. So it's mean this is what I mentioned, that whenever you have seen the storage requirement from some of the partners, sorry, some of the customers, okay, uh, then just you show them the value for the Nimble DHCI, and when they will purchase, it is free of cost actually to be getting a Nimble DHCI connection manager. Okay, there's no additional cost for this one, and it's up to customer. Okay, all the customer they have the server in their environment, so they can use one or two servers initially for the DHCI, and same time they can use the storage after adding the fiber channel cards, or with ISCSI they can use for the rest of the servers. So I have customer who want to purchase HP Nimble Storage DHCI today, set it up as non-HP Nimble Storage DHCI, and at some point purchase ProLiant server and create an HP Nimble Storage DHCI cluster. Is it possible? So as part of initial deployment process, HP Nimble Storage DHCI image array library stack setup workflow which required Gen 9 or Gen 10 server, ProLiant server. This is what I mentioned earlier, that the customer he can have existing one or two servers. Okay, to provision for the DHCI. If customer he will buy a DHCI image software for the Nimble storage, and then later on he can add additional server. So there's no option to deploy an HP Nimble storage DIC array as a non-HP Nimble storage DICI and vice versa. However, after the initial setup, it is possible to provision storage to non-HP HP Nimble storage DHCI host. So does HP Nimble storage DHCI support vCenter link mode? Yes, it is supported, but required Nimble OS 5.1.3.100 or above. This is the software version required for that one. Does HP Nimble Storage DHCI support pair persistent? Pair persistent is supported as in the previous slide we discussed. The DRHP Nimble Storage DHCI array need to be added to the same group as the source HP Nimble Storage DHCI array after the initial source array setup is completed. So there's another question: my customer doesn't like having ILO and ESXi in the same VLAN. Can we move ILO to separate VLAN after the deployment? So no, this is not supported as of today, but it's one of our highest priority at the moment. If you have a opportunity that would require the feature, please reach out. Okay. So guys, this screen is very important as a common question. I believe there will be some of the questions for the quiz will be from the common questions. So what are the requirements for adding in new servers after the deployment? I mean, once the customer he have acquired the storage and he deployed the DHC stack either with the new servers or either they have went with the old servers. It's both scenario it's running, but later on the customer he discovered that they need to grow the compute. So for growing the compute, they purchased new servers. So those new servers, as in the greenfield or brownfield, how it can be added. So no matter your deployment type, either it is a greenfield or brownfield, but the requirement is same, okay, as a minimum to adding a new servers, okay, which need servers need to comply with greenfield rule, meaning that a server must have, okay, that server must have 4 into 10 GB. This is what we discussed in the previous screen when we identified the ports and the cable connections. Okay, that we need to have the 4 ports where 2 ports, 2 into 10 ports will be used for the management network and 2 into 10 G ports will be used for the storage as ISCSI. The second requirement that the customer should have SSD drives in that servers. And the third thing is a custom ESXi install image. And then NCM. NCM is Network Connection Manager. Okay. So after deployment, you need to add new servers. You need to comply minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So how many transceivers do it's required? So transceiver are required if not using the DAC cable or uh, if it's required SFP. Okay. So for each server, customer need 8 transceivers, 4 in server, 4 in switch. So in case of DAC cable, then you need 4 into DAC cable per servers. So DAC cable, the maximum it's available 7 meter, but again it depends on uh, the network vendor. I mean, if you are using the HP top of the rack switches as flex fabric, then you buy a cable for the top of rack switch for the flex fabric. If you buy a if you are going to use the Aruba switches 8400 series, then buy Aruba cables. So please don't consider or don't purchase a cable from top of the rack if you are going to have Aruba switches, because the cable for the server, it's always the rule is derived from the switching vendor. Okay, so if you have the Cisco Nexus, okay, Cisco switches, then I use the cable from the Cisco for the direct attached cable. Okay, but don't buy the cable with server and use different switches and you discover that it's not compatible. So one in RJ45 transceiver for ILO is supported in shared port mode on 10 GB network. So for the Nimble array, you need 4 into RJ45 transceiver for management. Basically, add transceiver based on the add transceiver based on the number of ISCSI port you have in your array. So Nimble array comes with SFP, so you just need to add the number of SFP plus on the switch side. So to connect the switches, you need to into SFP or QSFP plus, depending on the switches model. So this is for interconnecting the switches. Okay, to build IRF or to build the virtual switching framework. I mean, whatever the stack you have, you need to have the transceiver to connect the switches, to interconnect the switches, because we have it seen in previous screen that for pair persistence or how it's need to be configured, the MLAC, or even though for high availability for the single site, it's need to have the connectivity between two switches. So always review the quick specs for the switches for latest information regarding transceiver and DAC cable supported. So it's always recommended to use the cable provided for the specific switch manufacturer. This is what I was stressing out, that I use the cable from the specific switch manufacturer. Don't use it from the server side, otherwise you will face the problems. Okay, when we will support latest Intel Cascade CPU, so it is actually it's already made as part of DHCI 2.0. So it will be in the near future, or maybe with the recent one updates actually this month. So does HP Nimble Storage DHC support a direct attach ISCSI? So Nimble Storage DHCI and non HP Nimble Storage DHCI deployment required Ethernet switches. So this is not direct connectivity. It's all required Ethernet switches, as we mentioned in the previous screens, that at the top of the rack switches required for the deployment. So can we upgrade a DHCI controller from AF20, AF40 to AF60? So I mean, this is talking about the storage itself upgrade. Yes, all the DHC specific information is programmed into the chassis EEPROM. FRU, when controller is replaced or upgraded in a DHCI system, it's remain a DHCI system. So replacing the controller of the storage, okay, will not change a storage system to non-DHCI. It will be still DHCI because the software will be there. As you know that the Nimble storage upgrade is very simple. Okay, whenever you are going from one model to other models, you don't need to change the whole disk enclosure. Just simply you need to change the controller itself for the storage. So just replacing the storage controller with the new one, it's mean you have upgraded the storage, and you will get additional IOs based on the limitation of that controller. Okay, I think I finished the presentation, and thanks for your time. Now it's time for question and answer. Before we move forward to
Okay, so responses now are not accepted. So 38% answered the right question. So actually, these are the questions for this quiz. Let's congratulate Akram, Hisham, and Wakas. Congratulations! You will receive your
Congratulations,
yeah,
Hisham.
Yeah,
cards.
you will receive your gift voucher in the upcoming. We will purchase the voucher and we will send it in the upcoming days. I will send you soon an email for compliance. Request you to fill this compliance so we can share it accordingly the voucher. So I want finally to thank Saber for conducting this session. Thank you, Adil, for your support. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We hope we have delivered everything you are looking for and answered all your questions. We will also be sending the recording session to your email ID along with the contact details. Or if you can go to our platform on YouTube, you can also see the recording. You can write back to us if you have any more questions. Adil and Sabir also, you can post your email to on the Q&A now so people
Yeah.
can if they are having any additional questions can also write back to you. Thank you so much and have a
Thank you,
great day
everyone.
ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
And from my side, I apologize for the voice quality what was initially, and for my laptop, actually, I'm not able to notice that one unless I will get feedback from someone. And once again, I'm very sorry. I hope that in the second part it was clear because I think there was might be something wrong with the mic itself.
Okay, thank you so much, Sabir.
Welcome.